name's Joshua Gwynn and I'm the director and producer of Love's War. I hope you enjoyed the short film that I made and coming up as an explanation on what I was trying to achieve when I set out to do this piece. The idea behind the piece was to concentrate on the theme of love. When approaching my dissertation, I wanted to make sure that I worked to all my strengths and tried to avoid my weaknesses. My strengths being adaptation, filmmaking, so practicals obviously on the books, and I love period drama. Now this isn't necessarily a period piece, however it plays with the setting establishment of World War I. By doing the establishment in World War I and introducing it in that kind of scenario, I wanted to try and make the audience feel safe, try and make them connect with that establishment. So I guess you're all wondering, why are the lads dressed in all black with white masks? Well, when I approached my dissertational piece, and I wanted to find that middle ground between experimental avant-garde film and Hollywood conventional film, I looked at a piece by Lars von Trier called Dogville. And in this piece, it's basically all based in one location, one factory setting, and there's bits of props there, but the majority of the village that's created in this factory is chalk drawings on the floor to represent houses, etc., and bits of furniture in those chalk drawings on the floor to represent parts of the housing that matter, the very crucial parts. The rest of the narrative is played through sound effects, the doors opening, etc., all sound effects. What this does is highlight the talent of the actors, and with this piece I made sure I used actors that I know are talented, actresses that I know are talented, and they really did do me proud in this piece. And it wasn't until I got into the edit that I could really appreciate the concentration on the eyes, which is what I was aiming for by using the mask, was just to highlight the emotion in the eyes and show how powerful those windows to the soul can be. And when it worked in an edit, it was just the best feeling to sort of know that you've accomplished what you've set out to do in such a high risk and a high risk movement of substituting people's faces for white masks, taking away the emotional convention that we use to connect with characters. But I think it really paid off. So the piece opens up in World War I. Now it's not necessarily based in World War I. What I tried to do here also is break out of the conventions of World War I settings. Although it is established in World War I with the trench scenario, with some of the weapons, and a lot of the narrative action, things like the football day scenario, that was taken from World War I, Christmas Day, and the relationships that the men had with the sweetheart, the way they carried the pitch around with them, etc. Although I take a lot of those connections, those pieces of narrative, that the way those events happened in World War I also happened in wars over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, over the lifetimes. And what I wanted to do in this piece was give the audience something to connect to and feel safe with World War I familiarity, and then break from it and throw things like different weapons in there. So there's lads with machine guns, there's lads with tanto blades, and it's just to really try and make it universal and really try and open it up, because the basis of my narrative is the theme of love and how love is seen and how love is represented. That's why when the lads come up and over the top of the trench, instead of seeing the enemy, they see what they love, they see what we would see in our last moments of life. We contemplate what we love in life, what really matters to us. And you've got these kind of abstract scenarios that don't comply to conventional film, where it's the big explosions and mass lads stabbing and ripping into each other and bullets whipping through flesh, etc. All that can be done with the imagination. What I wanted to highlight was the theme of love and how that can be played through the mind. Things like the dance sequences, I took influence heavily from theatre. Pieces like Lysistrata and quite a lot of the old Greek pieces that I used to study and I used to go and see at the theatre in Manchester had abstract dance sequences in between the scenes. And what these dance sequences were there to do was to sort of reiterate the action that was going on in the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, etc. With me being a dancer, I loved how abstract dance sequences in theatre could represent the mood, it could represent the themes, it could represent the relationships. And when I set out for my dissertational piece, I knew that that was something that had to be included in the film. What I basically wanted the audience to take from my piece was not necessarily this is love or this is how you should feel about love. What I wanted to do was kind of highlight and identify the different varieties of love. I think as a filmmaker, that is the most important thing I can do, is to put a piece of film out there that can make you think, that can make you engage, that can make you question not only things about society and how the world works and past issues, but it can also help us question a lot of things about ourselves. Now, 15 minutes is a short duration to cover the span of variety of love. So I tried to highlight main relationships. There's one soldier that comes up and over the top and he's very much a dominant man, and when he comes up and over the trench and he's full of confidence and bravado, he sees his mother, and this is a frustration for him because in his own mind he feels strong, in his actions he feels strong. However, when he comes up and over the top of the trench, he realises that all he wants is his mother, all he wants is that hug, that cuddle that often we all need to sort of reassure us in life, and it's what a mother can offer us best, things that I could put in there in order for the audience to connect to, made the piece in its entirety more connectable. It made it, in my opinion, it made the piece more universal. One of the other abstract scenarios was the lads in the trench, and in the film they're in a blacked out room and they're all in a straight line, and in this sequence I really wanted to represent the love of comradeship between the lads. You see the fear in them and you see the aggression waiting to attack in some of the lads that are going over the top. The way that they shared food, they shared cigarettes, they shared equipment. They lived together in those trenches, and
prepare hearts!
The comradeship of love is often a fearful situation to go into and investigate, because if you represent that in a certain way and you show it in a certain way, then you get hit with comments of, well, why do the lads look like they're doing homosexual activities or connections or relationships? And this is very much a hard-hitting comment on society from my point of view, is that the actions that we do don't necessarily represent what we mean and what we feel.
Open hearts!
The idea that the lads have all stood in a trench and they're just about to go over the top, why shouldn't they turn around to each other and say, I love you, you've been there for me, you've been the one that's kept me going in this trench, I love you as a friend. Love has so many varieties and so many different meanings and connections. You can't take love as a word or as a theme and apply it to a situation. It's versatile. Love will still be here when we're dead and gone, and it'll still represent a different meaning then, depending on the people that use it and the scenario that's put in.
Love! War!